It started in a peaceful suburban town where life moved at a steady, predictable pace. The streets were lined with trees that cast long shadows during sunset, and the air always carried the faint scent of freshly cut grass. Families trusted one another, doors were rarely locked, and neighbors exchanged friendly waves without hesitation. It was the kind of place where nothing dramatic ever happened, and everyone liked it that way. Among the families living there were the Harrisons. David and Emma seemed like the perfect couple. He was a successful businessman, and she worked at a local boutique known for its charm and elegance. They were admired for their generosity, always volunteering at community events and hosting gatherings at their beautiful two-story home. Their lives looked flawless from the outside, and people often joked about how the Harrisons were the ideal couple. Yet, there were moments when things didn't feel right. A few neighbors recalled hearing strange noises from the house late at night, sharp sounds that would stop abruptly. Delivery men mentioned how quickly curtains were pulled shut when they approached, almost as if someone didn't want to be seen. At first, these little oddities were brushed aside. Everyone assumed it was nothing, every family had its quirks. But behind those perfect smiles and warm greetings, something sinister was unfolding. The walls of that elegant home hid a story that would soon leave the entire neighborhood speechless. No one could have guessed that this picturesque setting was about to become the center of a horrifying mystery. In just a matter of weeks, the truth behind those closed doors would come out, and it would be darker than anyone could ever imagine. One chilly autumn morning, Emma Harrison didn't show up for work. Her absence immediately raised concern because she was known for her punctuality and dedication. Colleagues tried calling her, but every attempt went straight to voicemail. Hours turned into an entire day without a response. Friends assumed she might have fallen ill, but as time passed, worry began to spread. Her closest friend reached out to David, who calmly explained that they had an argument the previous night. According to him, Emma left the house early in the morning to clear her mind and never returned. At first, this seemed plausible, but when Emma's car was found parked in the driveway, alarm bells started ringing. Why would she leave on foot without taking her belongings? The police were called, and a missing person report was filed. Officers searched the neighborhood, checked traffic cameras, and interviewed neighbors. No one had seen her leave. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of robbery, nothing to indicate a struggle. Everything in the house appeared normal, almost too normal. David appeared on local news stations pleading for Emma's safe return, his voice breaking as he begged anyone with information to come forward. To the public, he looked like a devastated husband desperate for answers. But detectives weren't convinced. His statements had small but noticeable inconsistencies. He claimed Emma left at 7 a.m., yet her last text message had been sent at midnight. Phone records showed no activity after that. Despite exhaustive searches, Emma seemed to have vanished without a trace. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade. What no one knew then was that the answer to her disappearance was much closer than anyone imagined, hidden within the very walls of the Harrison home. Weeks passed with no sign of Emma, and the case seemed to be going cold until a call changed everything. An anonymous tip suggested something suspicious about the Harrison home, specifically, the basement. According to the caller, David had done recent renovations that were never reported to local authorities. This detail caught investigators' attention because the official blueprints of the house showed no changes. With a search warrant in hand, detectives returned to the property. They inspected every inch, focusing on the basement. At first glance, nothing appeared unusual, but then they noticed something odd about one wall. The measurements didn't match the original plans, and the surface looked freshly painted compared to the rest of the basement. When they tapped on it, the sound was hollow. The team brought in specialized equipment to check behind the wall. When the section was removed, it revealed a narrow hidden room. Inside, there were no windows, no natural light, just bare concrete and silence. The air was heavy, stale, as if the space had been sealed for a long time. Scattered on the floor were items that sent chills down everyone's spine: a handbag, pieces of jewelry, and a smartphone. All of them belonged to Emma. But the most disturbing discovery was the dark stains on the floor and walls. Forensics later confirmed it was Emma's blood. The sight was overwhelming. Investigators realized this was not just a missing person case anymore, it was something far more sinister. The hidden room had only one entrance, and it could be locked from the outside. It was clear Emma had been held there, but what had happened after that was still unknown. The Harrisons' picture-perfect life had shattered, and the nightmare was only beginning to unfold. As investigators dug deeper, the image of David Harrison as a loving husband began to unravel. Financial records revealed startling details. Just months before Emma disappeared, David had purchased a massive life insurance policy in her name, worth a fortune. This discovery shifted the case from a mystery to a possible premeditated crime. But that wasn't all. Detectives traced a series of large cash transfers from David's account to an unknown destination. Following the trail, they discovered a second apartment rented under an alias. Inside were clothes, personal items, and photographs of David with another woman. It was clear he had been living a double life, preparing to start over without Emma. When questioned about the hidden room, David claimed it was for storage and denied knowing anything about Emma's disappearance. But evidence told a different story. His fingerprints were everywhere inside that space, and there were no signs anyone else had entered. Investigators believed Emma had been confined there after a heated argument turned violent. She may have tried to escape, leading to a struggle that ended in tragedy. Despite mounting evidence, one critical piece was still missing: Emma's body. Without it, prosecutors faced challenges in proving murder beyond doubt. Detectives searched tirelessly, combing through nearby woods, lakes, and abandoned properties, but nothing turned up. David continued to appear calm in public, insisting on his innocence, even attending community events as though nothing had happened. Behind his composure, however, was a man cornered by his own lies. Each new discovery tightened the noose around him. Investigators were certain Emma was dead, but without a body, the case felt incomplete. Still, they knew the truth would surface eventually, because secrets this dark never stay buried forever. Months passed with no breakthrough, and the case seemed destined to remain unsolved until nature intervened. After weeks of heavy rain, a riverbank miles from the Harrison home collapsed, revealing a disturbing sight. Buried beneath the loosened soil was a plastic-wrapped bundle weighed down with chains. When authorities arrived, they uncovered human remains inside. Forensic tests confirmed the worst: it was Emma Harrison. The plastic was carefully sealed, and the chains were meant to keep the body submerged. Investigators immediately noticed fingerprints on the wrapping, and they matched David's. This discovery ended any remaining doubt. Emma had been dead for weeks before her body was moved. The timeline suggested David kept her in the hidden room for days before killing her and disposing of her remains. Confronted with the evidence, David's composure finally shattered. He confessed to everything. The argument that night had turned violent, and in a fit of rage, he attacked Emma. When he realized she wasn't breathing, panic set in. Instead of calling for help, he locked her in the hidden room, hoping to figure out what to do. Eventually, he decided to cover his tracks, staging her disappearance and dumping her body far from home. The confession shocked everyone who had believed in the Harrisons' perfect marriage. Neighbors who once admired them struggled to accept the truth. The media swarmed the quiet neighborhood, turning the tragedy into national news. David was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison without parole. The story left an unforgettable mark on the community. Behind the walls of a beautiful home had existed a nightmare no one saw coming. It was a chilling reminder that evil can hide behind the most ordinary smiles, and sometimes the darkest secrets live just next door.